In this lesson, we will introduce a flexible method on the Hibernate API that is capable of either persisting a transient entity or reattaching a detached entity. The first thing we'll need to do is run our populate.sql script, which can be found within our working files for this lesson. Run that script on the database so we're both working with the same records in our underlying database. Once we had that script ran, we're going to take a look at our example. And here we see the basic script for a detached entity. We have opened a persistence context, and we have retrieved a bank entity, and then we close our persistence context when we close our session. Now our bank entity is detached. You'll also notice that we have a transient bank entity. So this is a new entity that was created using the new operator and the constructor. Here we see that helper method, and we see it's invoking the constructor for bank, so we get a new instance. So at this point, we have a detached entity and a transient entity. And what we're going to see is a method that is flexible enough to handle both of these situations. What I'm going to do is on our detached bank, I'm going to set the name. What I'll do then is use our second session. So here we have a new persistence context, and I'm going to call the save or update method. The name is pretty intuitive because when we save an entity, we are making it persistent, so we're firing off an insert statement to the database. But we also have the option to update, and when we update, we're reattaching an entity to our persistence context, and we're making it persistent, so we fire off an update statement. The first thing I'll do is pass in the transient bank entity, and then the second thing I will do is pass in the detached bank entity. And when we execute this demonstration, we see that the same method is capable of performing an insert or an update. So how did that work? Well, Hibernate looks at the identifier properties for the entity, and using either the presence or lack of an identifier, the API is smart enough to route the method invocation to the appropriate method, save or update. Pretty simple, but it's a nice method to know about because it provides some flexibility that you can incorporate into your application.